So let us now find the solution to the problem statement that we encountered in the previous video. And now, in order to calculate the simple interest for rest of the users without repeating the code, we need to make use of the functions in Java. So here I will use public static void and then declare the function name as, let's say, calculate simple interest. And then within the parenthesis, we are going to pass the parameter of, let's say, int principal and then float rate of interest, and the last parameter as again int time period. And now then define the method body. Now within the method body, since we got the principal, rate of interest and the time period, so we need to write our code such as this statement, calculate the simple interest and then print it out. So let us copy these two lines of code and paste it here. And now let us change it to principal and then rate of interest and again time period, and also change the name from si2 to simple interest here again. So we have simply created a function that accepts three parameters and then calculate the simple interest and print out the value. And now here at the top, what we can do, let us start replacing our code. So instead of these two lines of code that we have already mentioned within our calculate simple interest method, we can remove it and then simply call this method calculate simple interest, and as a parameter let us pass the value of principal 1, rate of interest and then time period of user 1. So when this statement will be executed, it will simply pass the value of principal, rate of interest and time period inside this function of calculate simple interest. And once we receive the value, we can then calculate the simple interest and print out the value or the result. And now the same thing we can do for the user 2 as well. Principal for user 2, rate of interest for user 2 and then time period for user 2. And now if you notice here, these three lines of code are again being repeated in both the case. So why don't we do one thing? Instead of using the variable, let us pass the value directly. So copy it and paste it in place of principal 1. And then again copy this value, paste it here, and again time period as 2. And now let us remove all these three lines of code, and the same thing we can apply for user 2 as well. And then remove these three lines of code. And now you can notice how beautifully we have removed the redundant code. Just one statement and we are done with our job. And now suppose for user 3 we have some data. So for the user 3 again you can simply call this method calculate simple interest and pass some value such as principal and then rate of interest, let us assume 12.7, and time period, let's say 8 years. Now this is the beauty of using the IntelliJ IDE, that you will get a hint. As a first parameter you need to pass the principal, and this principal is the variable name that we have defined here. Similarly, as a second parameter you have to pass the rate of interest, and as a third parameter you need to pass the time period, right? So this will actually prevent you from doing any mistake. And similarly for the user 4, user 5, user 6 and so on, you can simply call this method calculate simple interest to get the job done. So I hope now you know why do we need methods in Java.